SaaS Therapy.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this check-in episode of SaaS Therapy. My name is Todd Kirk, and today I'm going to be reviewing and talking about a recent conversation that my co-host Casey Trujillo and I had with Dave Blake, who is the CEO of ClientSuccess.com. This conversation was one of my favorites recently because what Dave brought to the table was really, really good. We went down this conversation about the importance of really embracing your most vocal customers. And the way that conversation unfolded was by trying to understand if Net Promoter Score was a valuable tool that you should focus on or look at.
That everybody's just bagging on NPS these days. They're like, NPS is old, it's outdated, it was meant for B2C instead of B2B. My emphatic answer is like, it depends on what you're using it for. And most people are saying throw it out because they're asking the question if NPS is relevant to predict retention or churn, right? Is it a very good predictor to understand if a customer is going to leave you or not? And if you were using it that way, I say agree. I would not use it that way. And what I try to tell everybody is that NPS used in the right way can be helpful. Is it the end-all be-all metric? No, by no means. But can it be a very valuable and useful way to understand customer sentiment, understand the customer experience? Absolutely. And so I think in my feedback is always around NPS is don't throw it out. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Use it for the right purposes, and then it can be valuable for your company. Data is data, and any information I can get from my customer from any source, it can be valuable data for me. My goal is to understand really what the customer experience is, where the challenges are, where we're doing well, and where we can improve. And I want to have as many signals as possible to really understand that. And so the way I look at it is NPS is one signal, can be one signal to help me understand the customer experience, customer sentiment, validate things that we understand, learn new information. And so where we say feedback is a gift, I'll take feedback wherever I can, including NPS.
I love Dave's insight about thinking about NPS differently. So much of the world is telling you not to look at NPS at all. But if you look at it as a signal that will help start a conversation, it totally changes the game. One of the things that I thought was really interesting was Dave's take on how frequently you should talk to your customers and the best ways to do that.
We do it probably 3 times a year. Is the frequency once every 3 to 4 months. It could be every quarterly, but probably every 4 months is the cadence that we do. I'm not saying that that's the right cadence for everybody, just giving you an example. You do want to be careful that you don't have you don't give your customer survey fatigue, where they feel like you're getting asked every interaction. Every time I call Delta, I'm going to be asked, will you stay on, hit number 2, to stay on to give feedback. And frankly, I never do that unless I've had a good experience and I want to reinforce that, or a bad experience, right? So, but that's the first thing is the frequency. You just need to figure out what's best for you and your business. As far as how do you make it, I try to make it as pure as possible. So there's a couple things that I really recommend. One is you do not bonus based off NPS. I just feel like that's a bad practice. One is because you're trying to get feedback. You're not trying to gauge the effectiveness of your CSM or sales rep or whatever. So don't use it for that. Use it purely for feedback. And then second is, in order to do that, have it come from somebody who's not their CSM. Usually it comes from me as a CEO or somebody else in our team, maybe Christy, our chief customer officer, or maybe it comes from a customer experience leader or team member. But if you the way that it starts to be gamed is when you have it tied to an individual and their performance, and then it will be gamed. If it comes from Dave and it's from the CEO of the company, who generally is genuinely is asking for feedback about the experience, I've found that it's been much more natural and genuine in the responses.
One of the big takeaways for me in this conversation was the fact that a lot of customers are not good at giving any sort of feedback. And Dave really helped drive the point home that it's not just about getting good feedback or bad feedback. It's about getting any sort of feedback, because it's the engagement that's the good signal. And how do you encourage your customers to care enough to tell you more about how you can help them be better? So the interesting piece to me was, how do you come up with creative strategies that you can employ to better encourage their participation?
One thing to look at is who consistently does not respond to an NPS, because that's telling you as much as those who are actually responding. I'm under the belief that, and I've said this over and over and over again, that you should embrace your most vocal customers. And the reason why I say that is that your most vocal customers care enough to provide the feedback. And that goes back to the whole thing of like, the concerns you should have are those that aren't providing feedback consistently, that won't get on the phone with you. For me, like any customer that will get on the phone with me, even if they're the most angry, most difficult customers, human nature says, oh, I really don't want to talk to that customer today. But at least they're willing to give feedback.
Yeah.
And that means a lot. And that's why they say that it's not your most happy customers that typically say. Sometimes it's your loudest, most difficult customers. The reason why they're being difficult is because they care about you the most and they want you to succeed. And so embrace them, listen to them, really understand, even kind of that saying of understand what they mean, not what they say. And then find just a few things out of these that you'll go and you'll put into initiatives to improve over the next quarter or two. And that's where you'll find the success in leveraging NPS or any other survey capability out there. The key thing here is I'm looking for engagement. Engagement is one of the best signals of success with any partnership, right? Whether it's our spouse or whether it's a customer. So if I have customers who are not engaging, then I'm looking at other creative signals or strategies to engage them. So that might be a different survey. It may be just an email from me, from the CEO, asking for an opportunity to meet. It's whatever creative ways that you can do. It may be, hey, I'm jumping on a plane, as a CEO or a CSM or a leader, and I'm going to go to that city and I'm going to see if I can engage that person by, letting them know I'm going to be in town. There's a myriad of ways to do it. It's just the key thing is to figure out creative ways to engage customers, and especially those that are ghosting you, that are not talking, that are not engaging in all ways. I would take that as a very strong signal of potential risk versus the other situations. And we've done it in so many different ways. Even a breakup email sometimes works. I did that with somebody the other day that just said, hey, I'm not hearing from you. It sounds like that we're not, in this situation, it wasn't a customer, it's a different partner, but it sounds like that maybe it's not the right timing. And so if I'm wrong, let me know. And a lot of times something even like that will be like engage people. Oh, the response was, I'm sorry. Something happened that I just was out of pocket for a week or whatever. And then they're engaging. And so I think, but then you just look at a different channel or different creative ways to try to engage customers for that conversation.
The last question we always ask our guests is to look deep within their souls and try to figure out what homework or advice they could give to our listeners. And Dave did not fall short here.
I would the feedback I would give, the homework I would give is find any way possible to embrace your most vocal customers. Engage them, learn from them, improve, close the loop, and not be afraid to have those conversations, and use it as one method to improve yourself as a leader, as a company, and as a business. And I know you'll get a lot of value out of it.
I loved this conversation with Dave Blake. He had some amazing insights. You can listen to the full episode right here on our podcast page. We hope that you found this check-in episode valuable, but don't forget to engage with us, connect with us on LinkedIn, follow us, subscribe, send us reviews. We want to talk with you so that we can help you build better relationships with your customers. Thanks, everyone, and have an awesome rest of your day. SaaS Therapy is brought to you by Brainstorm, the SaaS platform for SaaS adoption. Learn more at brainstorminc.com.